somebody told the truth. Let's go.
Peter Case continues to tell the truth on his new album, My Life to Live, recorded live at McCabe's. We found Peter at home in San Francisco and talked to him about how he developed his unique ability to engage with an audience and about becoming a full-service songwriter, recording with the Nerves and the Plimsouls, and what it's like out on the road in 2026.
Great. I've been playing a bunch of sold-out shows, man, which is nice for me.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been like that, but it is these days. And like so, I had like 5 sold-out shows in a row on the Eastern Seaboard, and great shows all over the place. So it's been pretty good. I've been enjoying it. We were over in Europe, and we had big shows over there. They're not big shows, but the places we're playing, they're full.
Good.
And so, I don't really play big shows. I played for about 400 people the other night in Boston,
Right.
but that's about as big as it gets.
Sure.
But I'm happy with that because the people are enthusiastic and it's fun playing for people that are into it. And so, you got a full room of people, and there's something about that makes the critical mass kind of happen, and it's fun.
Yeah. Very cool. So you've got this Live at McCabe's album that's been out for a little bit now.
Yeah.
Well, we got to ask you why that set, why a live album now? Why everything?
I don't know why, except that Len Fico is the name of the guy that runs the record company, and he put out a record for me last year called Dr. Moan, like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot, and I've known him for quite a long time, and he put out a Plimsouls record in the '90s at one point, and he managed the band Sparks back in the day.
Oh yeah, they're coming here.
Oh, good. Like 100 years ago, he managed them. They're good. And then, and so I was talking to him one day, and he goes, "I want a live album." It was his idea, and he said, because he'd been coming to my shows, and I guess he felt that he really wanted to have something like that to capture that. And so he says, "And I want the music, and I want the talk in between the songs, and we're going to do a 2-record set."
Right.
Really, that kind of surprised me because I wasn't really thinking of doing that, and so he gave that thing the green light, and so that's how that happened. And then we just went ahead. We did 2 nights at McCabe's, and they recorded it both nights, and then we took that out and mixed it with the best of the 2 shows.
Right.
And,
Right.
And the talk too, which I've never had to mix a record with a lot of talking on it, so that was like a completely new experience. It's kind of weird to edit it so it works, and so that's how it happened. And
Okay.
then it seems to be a popular record. I mean, I guess Len has a feeling about stuff like that because you get a lot of my best songs, plus the thing that people are getting from the live show, and it's very contemporary. So
Yep.
people dig it.
Yeah. Well, I like the talking in between because I get the feeling you have a very good connection with the audience. I don't know if it's just that particular audience, but it probably happens wherever you go, like in Boston.
Pretty much happens everywhere. Every once in a while you run into a place where it's freaky, but
Yeah.
then that's good too. You learn how to deal with those kind of things.
Right. So were you always able to connect with people like that, or was it something you had to learn over the years?
I did it when I was really young, but I didn't know how to like do it regularly on the road. You learn that as you go along. I've had a lot of learning experiences in music. I used to play coffee houses back in Buffalo,
Yeah.
where I would goof around a whole lot, and it would be fun and funny. And then playing on the street, as a street singer, which I did for quite a while, was
Right.
a real, trial by fire, kind of thing where just to pull out your guitar on a street corner in a big city, there's 15,000 pounds of pressure saying don't do it. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, and so, you're breaking like a law of civilization just to be out there singing. But, and then it's interesting. And the people are passing by and you're trying to get them to under your orbit. And, weird things would happen. You'd be out in San Francisco, like you'd be playing and like, a bunch of people, you out dancing, and then somebody take their clothes off. And then, somebody throw $100 bill in the case. And then somebody else like punch you right in the nose for no reason. And,
Right. Yeah.
like all kinds of shit was always going on. And so so those were trial experiences. And all along the line, I was learning how to deal with audiences. The Nerves, like we just played our set, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ramones. That was the thing back then. And then the Plimsouls kind of expanded on that a little bit, but it really started to happen when I went live because you're out there and you got to talk to him. I remember talking to Chris Smither one time when we were like, you got to talk, you know, you
Yeah.
got to talk to the audience. Like I've seen a bunch of folk singers play. I've seen a lot of, that's one of my inspirations for being a solo performer was seeing Lightning Hopkins in 71.
She's
He talked a lot. He
Did he?
talked,
Yeah, yeah.
he told
That's that's
stories.
that's the thing I noticed about being in New Zealand. They don't talk a lot. They have this thing called tall poppy syndrome, which is the opposite of in the States, where they tell you you can be president from the minute you were born. So everybody's kind of just staring at their shoes and mumbling if they do talk, and we're like, What was that?" Yeah,
Is that true? Because
yeah,
there's a lot of great folk singers from New Zealand,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Bob Bogle and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and there's some other ones. I did a song by I did a song on one of my albums about shot over,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
shot over, folk singers and like great story songs, shot over river, my gold,
Yeah,
the gold it is waiting. It's been years since the color I've seen. Great song,
yeah.
Farewell to Gold, one of my favorite songs.
Cool, cool.
And so learning how to talk to audiences. But really, for sometimes you just don't feel like it.
Right, sure.
Sometimes on the road, you don't feel like playing either,
That's a
You gotta
problem.
get your head around it, man. Like sometimes you just feel kind of like climbing and shy like you're talking about, but you
Yeah,
gotta bust out. You gotta, you're
yeah,
there. People spent their money to come see you, they want
yeah,
the full experience. So I want, I'm trying to like the thing that we're doing on this album is like, the thing I did live is, it's like a full experience, like, fast songs, slow, it's like they used to say about movies, uh, you know, uh, you'll laugh, you'll cry,
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
the sweep, the scope, you know,
Well, I love an Intella hotel, I think it is, where you can hear the phone ringing in the background, and you
right.
left that in, and I thought that was genius. And was it your phone?
So you go up on Broadway where the sailors are rowed, and the girls give themselves names like Lola, Estelle, and Nicole. They work at a place called the Garden of Earthly Delight, and the tourists pour in from all over to take in the sight. I'm not here.
Was it your phone that was ringing? You kind of
I
made a
don't know
comment
whose
about,
phone that
I'll
was.
get
It could
that
have,
later, I'm not
I'm
here.
stupid enough for it to have been my phone, but I really don't even know whose phone it was. I don't know, man.
That's good. And you do mix it up. I mean, you're playing a John Coltrane tune in the middle of all this, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then some of the chords I learned from the, I played at the Coltrane, the Church of St. John Coltrane, which is an African Orthodox church
Oh,
here in San Francisco. It's been there over 50 years,
right.
and I became the piano player for them for a while. And so I'm not a shredder on the piano by any means, or the guitar, or anything. I can't shred on any instrument,
Right.
but 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 I learned how to play like accompany on the piano and learn how to play all those and I've slowly learned how to play. It was kind of an accident how I got into it. Their piano player hadn't showed up, and my wife pushed my hand up. Denise pushed my hand up, and like okay, and
Yeah,
so
right.
so they said come back next week. So I came back for like a few years, and learned a lot about playing with jazz people. But I'm not a jazz player, but I learned a lot about it. But I love Coltrane. I love the melodies, and I love, he's a great composer. And I don't think a lot of people think about the beautiful melodies he composes, like Lonnie's Lament and you know, Naima. And there's a whole bunch of them that are very beautiful, Equinox. And there's a whole bunch of great pieces. And, uh, and so I learned a lot from that and kind of brought that back to the show on the piano. Even A Million Miles Away kind of has this thing at the start of it, which is sort of like a kind of like McCoy Tyner. I mean, I can't play that kind of music, but I'm influenced. I'm a gut. I call what I do gut bucket jazz. You know, it's just
Gotcha.
like
That's
yeah,
a good. That's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
one. I like that. And you mentioned Lightning Hop. You ain't gonna worry no more on the album, and it sounds very topical. Even though it was probably written a million miles ago or a million years ago. With the stuff that's going on in the States, and especially looking out in from outside, it's pretty interesting. Do you worry about being too topical with some of your audiences? It's got to be kind of treading on eggshells sometimes.
And now bananas are cheap, that's United Fruit. They tore out the labor unions at the root. Murdered the tribes to clear the way for the puppet government CIA. Come on down, we ain't gonna worry no more. Ah, come on down, we ain't gonna worry no more. 'Cause everybody's laughing now, it won't be long. We've seen a lot of trouble, now the ghost is gone. Come on down.
That was a song that was just a bunch of lines on a piece of paper.
Right.
And I was working with this guy, Ian Brennan, who was a record producer that had produced Ramblin' Jack Elliott and some other people. And he was like an anger management counselor for hospitals to teach people how to do triage. So I figured if he could do that, he could probably produce a record pretty good. And so And so he came in and he told me that was he heard, I just fooled around with it a little bit, like just made up a thing on the guitar and sang it to him a little bit. And like, he goes, that's the one right there, man. You got to like put that one out. So,
Right.
so we did that on that record. It ended up getting nominated for a Grammy, that record. But the song grew in strength really after it was written. Um, it kind of, along with another song called Somebody Told the Truth, they
Right.
kind of grew into their moment. They were a little bit ahead of their time. And then as they came along, because I feel like that song really is kind of topical right now.
Yeah.
Ain't
Yeah.
Free No More, because it's such a troubled atmosphere at the moment. Um, do I worry about it? No, I don't, because I just want to have something positive and good to say about, to people. I'm trying to bring a positive message, but I've had different people bite my head off a couple of times over the years, but generally, you know, you got to weigh in on what you got to weigh in on. But
Sure.
like, I don't really try to, I don't get too specific, though every once in a while I do. Like I have a song about Pelican Bay, which is a prison, a maximum security prison in Northern California. And so I wrote a song about that ended up they were having a hunger strike there. And I wrote a song about that. It's on Highway 62, that album. And there was a number of songs on that album that were like a little bit more topical. There was one about um, there was a lot of songs on there about racism and about different things like that.
Yep.
Uh, and so I get into writing about those things at times. I feel like I'm a full service songwriter.
You're
I'm
right.
writing love songs. I'm writing songs about what's going on with not so much politics, but like in the social atmosphere of our country and of people, and spiritual, but also rock and roll, and the whole thing. A
Full
full
service.
delivery, operator. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
one stop. I'm a one stop.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well,
You
speaking
get
of
it all right
songwriting,
here.
I'm curious. Did you take a look at the New York Times list of 30 best songwriters, American songwriters are still living? They just posted that I think a couple of weeks ago, and everybody's talking about how could they put in Lana Del Rey and not Randy Newman and things like that. And of course the usual suspects are in there, Bob Dylan and whatever. But but you were, because I was looking at the back of this, and it reprinted when you were listed as the top album of '86 in the New York
Those
Times.
were the days. Hey man, that guy was a real rock critic, Robert Palmer,
Robert
man.
Palmer, yeah,
Yeah,
back when they had them.
he's one of the great guys. I don't know who they got over there now, but like, I think a lot of it is marketing. And so when they do a thing like this, I don't know this for a fact, but it seems like they're trying to have like a very wide approach so that it's
Yeah,
marketed to a whole, so that they get the maximum number of clicks.
clickbait. That's what it's all about. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they make a lot of people mad. Like, why isn't Joni Mitchell on there and stuff like that? But Mariah Carey is, and all. It's just another tempest in a teapot, like we get all the time from the New York Times.
Yep.
I dropped my subscription to them when they refused to weigh in on the last election. So,
Yeah, right.
I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was pathetic, really. And where's Tom Waits? Yeah, I mean, like a list like that is absurd anyhow. Like I didn't even know Mariah Carey wrote songs,
I
but I
didn't
guess,
either. I was
and
like,
she says
what?
she did, and like I believe that she did.
Sure.
And she's a hit songwriter, so give her credit. But she got the thing. But I don't know, it's something about it
Yeah.
kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But those kind of lists are always absurd anyhow. Like, how about forget about it?
Yeah. Well, you obviously rate Bob Dylan. You do a couple of his tunes in your set recently. So,
Yeah.
and he's just going and going. What is he, 84, 85 years old
I
now?
saw him play last year. He was like super. And
Yeah.
then Willie Nelson was the headliner, and Bob was on the. It's like incredible.
Willie's
They were
what,
great.
93?
They were both great. And Keltner was playing drums. It was super duper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah. So
rock and
I don't know
roll's an
what to
old man's
say.
game now.
Uh, uh, Willie was really good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. And he had his two kids with, two kids
Yeah.
like Waylon Payne was with him, like, and then also his son Lucas, and they
Lucas.
were
Yeah. Yeah. Very
super
good.
great, man. They were really good. But yeah, I rate a lot of different songwriters. I mean, yeah, Bob Dylan. How can you can't argue with that?
No.
Neil Young. He should have been on there too. He
Well,
should have
he's
been.
Canadian, so he didn't make it.
Is that why? Did they
Yep.
not have Canadian people on there? Is that what it
No,
was?
no Joni Mitchell, no Neil, no Leonard Cohen. Well, Leonard's dead,
Leonard
so
Cohen's gone, but
yeah.
really, is that one if that was the thinking?
It-
Whatever it was, it's stupid. So what are you gonna do about
and
it?
here we are talking about it.
Yeah. So
So
there you go. See, it worked.
yeah, yeah. So I'm curious when you escaped from Buffalo when you were a teenager and were riding the rails and Woody Guthrie style and playing out in the streets in San Francisco. You seem to be heading in one direction as an artist and as a musician, and then suddenly you're in like these power pop bands, the Nerves, if you call them that, and the Plimsouls. Do you feel like you have two different kind of musical personas going there? How did you deal with all that?
Well, for starts, I didn't ride the rails. I
Okay,
did hitchhike, but I didn't. I guess I did ride I rode trains, but I didn't like ride the
yeah,
blinds.
go ahead.
I've never done that, but
Okay,
I did everything else. But
but it sounds good.
I was playing. I had a lot of roots in like blues and in country music and country blues and a lot of that thing. And then I was playing on the street, doing all that kind of stuff. And I played with all kinds of people that were into, you know, Reverend Gary Davis. I was learning his music and all that
Right,
kind of stuff. But I also, when I was a kid in Buffalo, I would play like dances. Like back then, the dances you would play would be like at the high school gym or at
sure.
the youth center or at the fire departments would like have people in to have a dance at the fire department. And I played all those with bands. And then I would play like the church basement would be like a coffee house, the Unitarian church basement or something like
Right,
that.
right.
I mean, I told Dave Van Ronk that I played a lot of church basements, and he goes, Peter, if it wasn't for the Unitarian Church, I would have starved to death years ago. I played so many church basements. So, a lot of folk singers do that. So I had both things going.
Right,
And so when I got to San Francisco, I was playing, we had like a street rock and roll band, but I was also doing the solo stuff. But then I met Jack Lee, and
right.
Jack Lee didn't have all that going. What he wanted to do, he was like, "What's any good now, man? It all stinks, man. All this music, 73, it's like all garbage." I
What?
go, well, he goes, "Well, what's any good?" And I go, "I don't know. I kind of really dig Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid by Dylan." And he goes, "Oh man, he was good with like a Rolling Stone, but this is garbage." And then he would say like, I said, "Well, what about the band?" Like, "Oh, it's what about the Stones, man? Exile on Main Street." He goes, "Oh, they were great with Brian Jones. They haven't been any good
He's one
since
of those guys, huh?
haven't been any good since Brian Jones." That because he was just really focused on writing these like really minimal pop songs,
Right,
which I did find it interesting, and um, it was a new thing because it was more minimal than most of the 60s groups. It's more minimal than like Dirty Water
right,
or
right,
Hanging on the Telephone is very minimal, and then the other songs were even more minimal. And
right.
so it's like this real stripped down thing he wanted to do, and it caught my imagination. And I wanted to see if I've been writing songs since I was a kid. And
Yeah.
so I've written, I had a song, even I had songs people even would want to hear twice, by the time I was 15,
Not
and
bad.
yeah, but it was an interesting thing to try to write for this group format, and it was interesting, and hanging on the telephone was great,
Yeah.
and it was exciting, and he wanted to make it big, and that sounded like a good idea to me since I was living on the street, I
Yeah.
wanted to give it a shot.
I'm in the phone booth, there's the one across the hall. If you don't answer, I'll just ring it on the wall. I know she's there, but I just had a call. Don't leave me hanging on the telephone. Don't leave me hanging on the telephone.
And it was really exciting, and like
Yeah.
playing on the street was sort of my lower education, and then, other people my age were getting their higher education. I was out on the street getting a lower education, but then I joined the Nerves, and that was like my merchant marine experience, like where
Gotcha.
you traveled around, you know, 3 squares a day in a cot, and
Yeah.
supervised activities, and like
The supervisor.
they used to say about jail, and but really, I learned a lot about songwriting with Jack and trying to write for the band. And, it was an attempt to like really do something professional. And, I don't know, sometimes I wonder why I decided to do that, but it was just exciting. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
fun. That was
Well,
really why. And so to get songs into that band and go on tour, and we open up shows for, all kinds of people, and met Mink DeVille and
there you go.
we toured with the Ramones in '77, and it was super exciting,
Yeah.
and then Blondie ended up right as the band was breaking up. Blondie recorded Jack's song, which had
Yeah.
started the band and that kind of thing. So it was an interesting period. But then I wanted to have my next step, is I wanted to incorporate more of what I loved into the music, and that was the Plimsouls. And so I love soul music and I love folk rock,
Yeah.
and so I brought both those things into the Plimsouls. And I wanted to have a band. The Nerves had great songs, like in my opinion, they were good songs, but the playing, like the live act, had room for improvement, and so what I wanted to do with the Plimsouls was have a band with with songs on that level, but then be able to blow the roof off
Right,
the
right.
and
Yeah.
that's what we achieved, and like that's why that band was successful. Is like we could play rock and roll in like almost any environment and like
Yeah.
totally rock the place. And so that's what the Plimsouls turned into. And but then at some point in there, I started, I enjoyed being in the Plimsouls a lot, but like at some point, I started writing these different kind of songs, and they were like the accent was kind of more on the lyrics and more
Yeah.
on like they were still catchy, and they were still like I believe, I love like the blues. I'm a songwriter, and so like I'm a song singer, and it's like so I song performer, I guess you'd call it, and so. Um, I love like the country blues guys, but I don't just love blues. I love their
Right.
great songs.
Yep.
And so Robert Wilkins had great songs. He says like the best songs. In a way, they're very much like the Nerves because they're really catchy. They'll have like a really cool guitar lick, and then they'll have like a real catchy line that goes over and over again with a neat melody thing. And he repeats stuff over and over again. And it's real catchy, kind of like a pop record in a weird way. And power pop didn't exist when the Nerves started. There was nobody talking about power pop at all.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and we used to power pop. We didn't really think of ourselves as power pop, and neither did the Plimsouls. I don't really like power pop because to me it's like a dyed white bread form of rock and roll without enough soulful influences on it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
some
I
of it,
just listened to a new album by the Lemon Twigs, who are from a couple of brothers from Long Island, and they're kind of a power pop band, and their new album just came out today. And I'm listening to it and go, it's power pop. Yeah, it sounds like the Raspberries and all that stuff, but it doesn't have any depth to it. Power pop never had that kind of long. It always felt juvenile in a way.
Well, here's the problem with power pop is like that a lot of the people that championed it wanted the world to go back to the sexual politics of 1965 and 66.
Right.
So they wanted, the women to be wearing bangs and long hair and the mini skirts and that kind of thing. And they
That's
want,
true.
and they wanted to be like, all dressed up, kind of like with their fancy shirts and everything. And it just it lacks. Acceptance of like where the world's gone. And, you know, I don't have that problem with Big Star.
Right.
And I even like 2020 that I thought
Yeah.
they were good, like the way they did a little, yellow pills. I mean, that was a hip song for a power pop group to do,
Sure.
and it kind of steps out of that mold. But, basically, I never considered what we did. Now, Greg Shaw said, well, the Plimsouls are the perfect example of real power pop. A million miles away is the ultimate, kind of thing,
Yeah.
whatever. But like to me, that's like way more rocking than most of that power pop stuff. But, I know what you mean, so, my thing was always the songs, and so like I see the same kind of like the same values in Robert Wilkins or Furry Lewis that I saw like in some of the things we really liked about the Nerves
Right.
is that, but maybe of course there's more depth really to Furry Lewis. There's good things in the Nerves, but those people are great, and they're really great. Like they're great songwriters, like Mississippi John Hurt and
Sure.
Robert Wilkins, and everybody all blues, they think, oh, I got the blues, and people don't have any idea what they're talking about. Those guys are songwriters,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they wrote great songs, and
Yep.
they're
Yep.
really catchy. If you listen to the Mississippi Sheiks, which Bob Dylan,
Yep.
recorded a couple of their things. But if you listen to their whole collection, like the songs and the records, they're incredible. And so I listen to all that kind of stuff, and I see elements of that and what we were doing and all that stuff too. So it all becomes one, really,
Right.
in certain ways. And then at some point, I started writing like a different kind of song where, I'd seen a lot of these solo people perform. I'd seen Lighton Hopkins perform when I was a teenager. I saw Laura Nyro perform when I was a teenager, solo with the piano.
Right.
So amazing. And it
Yep.
was all there. And it wasn't like it was unplugged.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing. And it
Yeah.
wasn't because like we used to have a joke about, unplugged. And not only are they unplugged, but they've let the air out too. You know, so,
Yeah.
you know
Well,
what I mean?
this
Like
is one
it's
of my favorite albums here of all time. And so your songwriting, I think, is like at its peak to me. Or I mean, it's not like it didn't go, it went down, but there's songs on here, Put Down Your Gun and Tell a Hotel, Traveling Light. Yeah. I mean, you got to, what happened there? Is there something, did you feel like you had achieved something that you hadn't achieved before with that record?
Yeah, I did. I really found that was when I started, really was like the first record was a start,
Yep.
and then that record was where it really blossomed. And I agree that Poor Old Tom and those things, they captured a catchiness that was also really filled with depth and like, life and death and all sorts of different stuff on that record. So I'm not, I feel like, yeah, I feel like the songwriting on that record was I don't know if it was my peak, but I don't like to think that. I feel
No,
like
of course.
I feel like I hit my peak every record with a few
Right.
songs, and on that one there was quite a few though that I still play. Like I still play Put Down the Gun. I still play Until the Hotel. I still play Poor Old Tom. I still
Yeah.
play. I even played Old Part of Town the other day.
Oh, good.
So Hidden Love is a good song, and so there's songs that continue. Some records have fewer songs that make it into the live performance. Like sometimes there'll only be like two or three. Like
Right. Sure. Well, you got
Beeline,
you
I
got a
played.
rather hefty catalog to choose from. So,
Right, like I hear your voice on Beeline,
right.
is one that really lived,
Yeah.
and then on the way downtown, and a couple others, Crooked Mile, and a couple others on Full Service No Waiting. There's always a few,
Yeah.
but some records have like if you got a record like Blue Guitar, where there's like five or six like that, you're doing really you're
You're doing all
cooking.
right.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing all
I
right.
can sing every song on that record. But there you go. Do you write a lot now? Are you still writing or are you
Yeah, I'm
slowed
always
down?
writing, but I'm not necessarily always writing songs. Like I write a lot, and then I'm in kind of a period where I'm starting to write songs again now. But I have,
Oh, good.
I just have tons of stuff I'm always writing. I got a book I'm working on
Oh,
that
good.
keeps going on and on and on. And then I got a lot of different ideas, and I fill up notebooks full of like ideas. But I'm on the road a lot, and it's hard to. you can start things but not really finish them when you're touring. And
Right.
so, and then even when I'm home though, sometimes it's hard to, there's just a lot of things going on. You need to really make the space to write songs, and so you have to leave that. You have to take it easy with like certain other things you're committed to, like make the room. But I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks, like left, right, and center. Right? Here's one
Right.
right here. I was like,
Right.
here's one. It's like
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
millions.
Written in longhand, I love it. I've got same
All
papers
longhand.
with stuff written all over it myself.
Yeah,
It's
endless, and so, then I got these little notebooks, like, these ones, they fit right in your pocket.
all right.
Got six of those. Here's another one. And then I write so I mean, it's all an attempt to capture things like from you have to catch yourself, catch the things that are flying through your mind,
Yeah.
in the moment when you're kind of inspired. And like, that's my theory right now, anyhow. And,
Yep.
but then you also have to sit down just with intent to finish the song, and so that's, the difference. But between just writing things down and writing a song is
Sure.
sometimes you just got to sit there and hammer it out.
Yeah. And do you spend so much time on the road because you love the road or because you have to?
Um, Well, it's a combination of need and desire. I mean, I love to play live. I learn a lot about the world from playing live, and I learn a lot about my music. And I've gotten good. You get good when you play a lot, and
Sure.
getting
Yeah.
good is satisfying in its own way, and seems like it's good for the audiences. And I feel like it's part of fulfilling, my gift, or whatever you want to, the thing I got. It's like you take it out and you give it to people. So that feels important to me. I don't. I love the shows. I don't really always love being away from home or traveling all the time anymore. It's super exhausting.
Right.
And then you're out there. You can't just. It doesn't go away like just because you one day you don't feel like being there. Like you're like out in Eastern Washington. You're not. You kind of go. You just got to like show up, man, and like
Right. Show up.
so you're in deep, and you stay out there deep for like 3 or 4 weeks at a time or whatever, and it's
Right.
intense. But I do love it. And I got to, I love it when the clubs have been full of people and they're enthusiastic. And so that's really satisfying. And you feel the songs it was worth it, that the
Right.
songs are coming out. And I feel like I'm bringing something to people right now that they may need in this certain kind of environment we're in right now. I mean, we're always in this environment, but it's heavier now than
It
it
does
has.
feel heavier. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're running out of Zoom time. I wanted to go back to Buffalo for a minute because I remember I was wondering if you ever saw a band called Wilmer and the Dukes.
Yeah, well, they were like a big band on the radio,
Yeah. Give me one more
Five,
chance.
five, five. What was that song? Give me one more chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a Rochester band. How about this? How about the Invictus?
Oh, the Invictus, right? Herb Gross and the Invictus, yes.
Do the hump.
Yeah, do the hump.
We had to play the hump when we played high school dances. Like the girls would come up and do the hump, play the hump when they have like these dance contests where they'd be like doing the hump.
Yeah.
But you had to play the hump, and the Woman and the Dukes, what a great band, soulful, like Otis Redding or something.
Yeah,
Really
great
good.
voice. Oh, Wilmer. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
super great singer.
Yeah. But, all righty. Very good. Okay, well, I'll let you go. Hopefully, we'll be seeing some new songs from you sometime in the near future because
All
it's
right,
always a
Marty.
good thing. And come down to New Zealand. Weather's
I
fine.
will. Is there places to play if I come down there?
We can get you sorted. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right,
Well,
man.
Neil Finn is right around the corner. He's just bought a new place. His studio is here, so you can cut a record with Neil and then play in his new place around the corner.
What's Neil doing these days? That's running a
Split
place, huh?
Ends. I'm going. They're just doing a little short reunion tour. I'm going to see them on Saturday, or Sunday rather. And he does this crowded house thing with Mitchell Froome and a few other people. And yeah,
Does he really?
yeah, he's always busy.
The night their record went to #1, I was sitting with Nick in an all-night diner in San Francisco. I'd played a gig with him at the Wolfgang's or one of those kind of places. I can't remember which one it was.
Right.
And then the news wasn't out yet, but we went to an all-night restaurant. We just sat in there all night, and then at some point in the night, they told us the record's going to #1.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.